Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I'm your host, Ralitza, and I'm so happy, so grateful to be joined today by my spirit sister, my friend, a partner in this amazing transformational work as we dig deep in our own soul and we mirror each other's growth edge and we call each other forward and hold space for this beautiful, juicy journey of our authenticity calling path. Welcome to the podcast, Hilary Rose.
Thank you. Hey. Oh my God, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you. I'm so happy we're finally doing this.
Yes. We've been talking about it for a minute.
We really have. Thank you for joining me. This has been such an interesting path of growth. I think we've gone through kind of learning about the Hermetic principles and how they apply to life and really moving through the tree of life when things come up. And, it's been at times very heady, and both of us are very embodied and very somatic. And the work that we do is all about emotional mastery and somatic alchemy. And so I just want to hold the space to kind of dig into that a little bit. I think it's so powerful. And because in our society, we live so much in our heads, that tends to be what our system does when we're in protection mode. We go straight to the head. We try to explain things. We try to be logical. We try to be practical. And from an energetic perspective, if we talk about energy being masculine and feminine, and like the masculine is more that practical, logical thinking through, and the feminine is more of that being and that intuition and that kind of safety in the unknown and that kind of like juicy exploration and not having an answer and really feeling into the body and expressing emotions. And so that's not about gender or sexual orientation, but really just energies. And so some people call it doing and being energy. Some people call it, whatever kind of opposite poles that polarity has. But yeah, I just would kind of, I don't know, open the space to that conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And wow, it's like those themes have been just really just even, I mean, they're constantly coming about, but like in the last week, girl, oh my gosh, like so many things. So I've been leaning really deep into this whole inner child work, um and what is really interesting is once I started doing that, all of the sudden I get strep throat.
Hey.
Okay, so since I've been doing this spiritual work, like deep spiritual work, um, I haven't been sick in over a year.
Hmm.
Like no sickness because it is my belief system that if you get sick or you have an ailment or something, there that is your soul telling you something. And
Mhm.
so I was like, okay, what is strep throat telling me? I
Mhm.
immediately go to like throat chakra. Um, and then uh, no less than a day or so later, um, I've had a leak in my roof, and then obviously subsequently in my ceiling, in my bedroom. Okay. And I kept thinking, like, okay, this is reminds me of leaking energy. Like, this feels so symbolic, leaking energy. And I had kept trying to get people to come and look. And they did come and look and they would do these repairs, still leaking. And I
Mhm.
would get to the point where I'm like, okay, perfect, it's stopped leaking. I can get the people to come in and fix the ceiling. Well, then it would start leaking again. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what is it? Well, start doing the work. I get strep throat. I'm sick as a dog. Um, the week before, I finally got them to figure out where it was coming from, and they're like, "You need a whole new roof. Get a whole new roof." This was all last week. And then, well, I guess it would have been week before that. And then I get really sick and I'm recovering, but I still feel awful, awful. And they're like, tomorrow, we can fix your ceiling. And I'm like, I, this is an opportunity, but I feel awful. But you know what? And so then they say, in order for us to repair your ceiling, we're going to be using a spray painter. So you have to move everything out of your bedroom. And I'm like, why am
While
I
you're sick. Yeah.
this? And I also am a collector of things. I'm Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon. Like I like sentimental nostalgia. I love things.
Yes.
Um, and so, but you know what? I did it. Um, the rest of my house is covered in stuff because I was just like, you know what? This is time to Marie Kondo the shit out of things. Like
There you go. Yes.
that does not serve. You gotta go.
Ooh. Okay, so that's really interesting because as you said that you hold on to things, right? What came through was like those are portals. Those are portals to those past experiences, to those moments. They're holding on so much energy. And as you were talking about the leaky roof and leaky energy, wow, that's so juicy. And maybe something universal because I've been actually purging my Instagram, like who I'm following, and I'm messaging people. I'm like, every single person that I go through, I'm like, I personally know this person. It's not just random accounts that I follow. So I've
Hmm.
just been telling people, like, hey, I'm doing some energetic cleansing. I would love to stay connected. Message me if you want to catch up. Right.
Okay.
And so I'm not just, but there's so many people, but it feels so good because
Yeah.
I can feel the energy releasing every person, like and it's not, I don't know, it's not that I'm engaged with these people. It's not that there's, and sometimes it's those relationships where you kind of put them off. You're like, oh, I'll come full circle at some point. Oh, I'll ask this person for a coffee. It's giving me a chance to re-engage with the people that are in my life that I love and that I just, you know, have been too busy to connect with, right?
Right. Right.
So I just think it's so beautiful that you're doing this and how amazing. And I love that you said Marie Kondo because the way that she does things is with so much gratitude and appreciation. I don't know if the listeners have seen this. It's a show on Netflix, but it is so beautiful because every single clothing, every single item she puts on her heart and she's basically, and I don't know, maybe you know this better in terms of the terminology, but it's basically like giving appreciation and gratitude for how it served and letting it move its life on to serving someone else because you either donate the clothes or give them away or or sell them or whatever it might be. But that's so beautiful.
Uh, that reminds me of something because actually this leak starts. So I don't know if you know this, but like we're numerologically speaking, we're in a year nine.
Completion, right? Tell
Completion.
our
We're
audience what it means.
like things could not be more symbolic, right? And when I think about it, and I'll get back to the Marie Kondo thing. Um, when this leak started, it was 9 years ago.
Wow.
And it was just like a little stain, but I was with my now ex-husband at the time, and it was a very toxic relationship, and I was constantly, just trying to fix the relationship, which, throughout this time, I've here we are at the precipice where I'm like, no more and no longer. But I do remember that there was like a free Marie Kondo class 9 years ago at the library. I never did it. I never did it. I was like, this is great. I'm going to do it one day.
There's one day.
Yep. And I did. I would hold, because I've got clothes that even, you think, oh, well, clothes don't hold that much meaning and energy. No, I've got items of clothing that I've kept since I was 15 years old. It's crazy. And I'm like, this is so special to me. Oh my gosh. And so I would just hold it and thank it for all the moments that we had. And I now release you to your new home. And I'm just giving everything away. Uh,
Gorgeous. And how does that feel in your system? Like, how does that feel in your mind, in your body, in your heart?
oh my gosh, it feels so good. It feels so good.
Yeah.
And I also had the other day when I'm in the midst of doing all this, I had a good friend of mine that, like, spiritually, she's very, we're very much on the same level. And she just happened to show up at my house. She was in the neighborhood, just showed up at my house. And she sat there with me. And then I had this really cool jewelry armoire that's like really pretty, solid mahogany wood, but I've had it forever. I don't use it. I don't want it. It's got way too many memories. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I want that." And I'm like, "Yes, it's going somewhere that, you know, feels good. Feels good." So yeah.
That's beautiful. Being repurposed for somebody else's new memories. That's so, so beautiful. And I love that you said, we think about clothes, like how much energy could they possibly hold, but it's true, everything holds such a
We love them. They're a part of us.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's interesting. I took a sip of my tea and I want to share this message with you. It's one of those teas that has a message on it, and I know this is for you. And it's so funny because usually I read it when I put it in my cup. I didn't
Okay.
read this one, and it came as you were sharing your story. So, travel in grace, knowing that you are protected by love.
Which is, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I just got the chills and I got it on my head, which is always my message that's the right, you're on the right track. You're on the right path. Keep going.
Yes.
Um, and ultimately, like, that is the message that has been reoccurring to me over and over is as long as you do it with love and integrity and
Mhm.
intention of those things, then you cannot go wrong. Um, and and there was something else that popped up because of course, I start doing all this stuff and I'm getting all these like messages and just like little bitty messages here and there and like emails that have to do with inner child work and like all this stuff. I'm like, what's going on?
I love
um,
how that works.
funny how that works. I love it. And so I had gotten this message from this guy that I've followed for many years that was essentially, it was talking about the inner child work, but it was talking about the perspective of tests coming your way being a not not viewing it as so much as like a test from the universe, but like a frequency that you've risen, you've raised your frequency. You've been doing the work and you're here and down here can't it's incoherent. And so that's when things that are crazy, like leaks and your crap everywhere and
That's
everything, are
right.
coming in. And so that's the test,
Yeah.
which is just basically energy and frequency coming through and saying, like, we can't have this if you want to be here.
Right. I love that. Yes, inconsistencies are almost like that crack in the foundation of our like the integrity comes up, right? So it's like, where are you still not in integrity? Because it's, yeah, that's really a beautiful way to look at it. It's so funny because the other day I was driving, I had a cooler in my trunk, and this cooler has been in my trunk for like definitely over a week. And it's just melted ice, and it was full. I was taking my son to soccer. We were late. I turned a corner too fast. I just heard swoosh. It went everywhere. And I thought, okay, it's okay. I have one of those mats in the trunk. It'll be fine. Sure enough, we were up hills and down hills. And so that water just spilled everywhere. And the next day I went to church. I haven't gone to church in a very long time. And I wasn't raised in church. I was baptized Bulgarian Orthodox. But there was this message kept coming of a rebirth and of and embracing a new identity and really stepping into all the callings, like really the
Baptism.
scarcity mindset, the sort of like the poverty consciousness, all of those things. And it's almost like I'm just like a yo-yo, just up and down. And I recognize it. And I recognize when I'm in one state versus in the other state. And it's just my head was hurting so much for 3 straight days. And it really felt like my brain is literally clipping old like neurons and making new ones. And it was just constant. And I don't really take medication. I don't like pills. I don't like taking like ibuprofen, Tylenol, all that. And so I just kind of, sat with it and I just let it happen. And, I wasn't as consciously aware of what was happening until I said it out loud to my partner. And I said, I feels like this is like my brain is rewiring. And he was like, yeah, it is. That makes a lot of sense. And I was just, I've studied medicine. I know how the brain works. I know that it's a little far-fetched to think that you're upgrading energetically. We're doing this paradigm shift, this stepping into a new identity. But physically, how quickly it's happening is just wild to me. And I mean, I've seen miracles at my hands in medicine, in clinical rotations, where people have been like 0.05% chance of survival, and they've out survived like every statistic and over and over and over. And so I know it's possible. In my conscious awareness, I know it's possible. But when you're actually going through the thing and it's happening to you, we forget that we have these opportunities. As you said, I don't really believe in tests from the universe. I just see it as an opportunity to choose a new way of doing things, because we both do this work with our clients. And a lot of people, a test from the universe, it sounds so mean. It sounds so like, now you're going to be beat down by the universe. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not it. It's not it. Opportunities for growth.
Yeah, growth edges, right?
Growth edges, yes. Oh boy. And but the more that we see it that way, it doesn't it feel so much more comfortable.
Oh,
Like it's okay. Like it just is. It just is. And then I feel like it flows. So that makes me think of two, like, okay, so after the leak, then the stuff everywhere. And I've been trying to create a local community, like spiritual community, because it's lacking where I live. And also I've been trying to like increase my business with QHHT. And I've just been hitting a wall with that because, not great with marketing, don't know how to like really get myself out there, all those kinds of things. Well, what do you know? When I start moving all my stuff out, things start getting repaired. I get two messages, one day, one the very next day, of people that are like, I want a book. Like, just absolutely
but like, where
100%.
did you even find me? Yeah. Yes.
What?
Everything is energy. I say this all the time. And until it starts shifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't recognize how much everything is energy.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Thoughts. Like your everything that you think, you're putting out there into the quantum, um and it ripples.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
ripples.
But I also want to share how important it is to be present to actually feeling the emotions, because cleaning your house and doing it in an unconscious way, a lot of people do spring cleaning, right? And I think a lot of us, we think of things as just material things,
Right.
and that's not the point here. Point of
Right.
spring cleaning, and it doesn't have to be everything. You don't have to, like gut your whole house to
Yeah.
do energetic cleansing. It could just be one or two articles of,
Mhm.
whatever it is. It could be one little drawer that you clean at a
Just
time,
want to say a
right?
drawer.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but I'm like, guys, I found out recently. I'm like, does everybody have a junk drawer? Like, man, you clean out that and you're like, wow, look at all this stuff. Like, why? Why? And energy is uh or emotion is energy in motion.
That's right.
And the more we let it flow out, uh the faster it comes back. And well, if we flow it out in a positive way, we wish it well,
Mhm.
it flows back to us. It comes back around to us much faster in a positive way too.
Absolutely. And that's really important. And I love that you shared that, because sometimes when we are purging, when we're kind of, getting rid of things or deleting contacts or, clearing our schedule, we can do it in a way where we feel guilty or bad
Mhm.
about it. And so the come from, I always talk about it as the come from, but basically the energy with which you're doing it really matters, right? And
Mhm.
intention is important. I think we talk a lot more about intentions, and intentions are extremely important. Absolutely. And I can have a really great intention, but
Right.
still feel tight and guilty and like, it's coming from that place of scarcity still. I can do the right thing, but be holding and showing up in that, like you said, the different frequencies. And so it's more, my voice even just raised
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
it's like, which frequency are we coming from in
Mhm.
everything that we do? As soon
Mhm.
as we wake up, when we do that really hard thing, when we have that difficult conversation, when we go into, a clarity call, sales call, whatever that is, when we set our visions, when we have conversations with our friends, our family, our people who we don't love having conversations with. It's like that energy of, like you said, coming from love and being love as you're moving through life is so, so beautiful, because that is that law of cause and effect, that law of karma. What we put out there is what will come back, right? And so
Mhm.
yeah, it's just such a beautiful reminder. So thank you for sharing that.
I actually love that you said that about intention because I don't know why, but for some reason, I've always struggled with that because
Mm,
and I can't really put a finger on why I've struggled
mm,
with it.
mm,
It's like, what is my intention? I'm like, I've got a lot of intentions. But I don't know. It's like finding the division or categorization of is how it feels, right?
mm,
It doesn't feel emotional. And I think I'm like an emotional
mm,
being.
mhm.
And uh, so yeah, I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts on
Yeah,
intention, like
yeah.
what that what does that look like? Because I mean, we've got the new moon coming up. I think it's tomorrow. And with the new moon, they're always big about, set intentions for what you
Mhm.
and with and so I'm like, is that like a goal? Is it like, you know, maybe the word I'm looking for is integrity.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting, because as you're saying it, I used to teach medical terminology, so I always try to go back to the root of the word and right, the etymology of it. But then at the same time, how does breaking the word down actually make me feel in my system? And so when you say intention, I feel like
Tension.
it feels like tension. Exactly. It feels like putting guardrails and putting parameters, and it's almost like it feels constricting a little
Mm-hmm.
bit to me, because even when I asked about what do you want to talk about on the podcast? I'm like, where's that coming? I never ask, but sometimes if it's someone I don't know,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
will ask them, how can this serve you? Or, what would you like to highlight? Is there anything you'd like to highlight? Anything you'd like to share? But with you, it's just such a free flowing conversation that it limits where we'll go if we stick to what we've set our intention to do, right? If it's a free flowing kind of space like this, where we get curious together, where anything is available and allowed on the table. And so I kind of, I compare that to life, where I feel like the more I've learned to actually let go, the more I've learned to just show up, the more I've learned that life will always, God will always have such a big, big purpose for my life, that when I show up simply in the state and frequency, right, of being
Hmm.
authentically me, having less control. And I just had a conversation with a client about this actually. They were like, I go from extremes. I go from this extreme to that extreme. And I feel like I should be. And I'm like, can you just stop shooting yourself? Because it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be right. It's always going to be to this or to that, or how am I showing up versus how I should be showing. It's like, how about this week you just let yourself be
Yeah.
without even checking in on any of it? Don't measure it. Just do the thing. Just do the thing that's life, and be present in the moment. And I feel that when we are setting goals, right? When we are actually showing up in places with others, I think sharing our intention or sharing our vision or share, like, especially in collaboration, I work in partnerships and collaboration. And so then I feel like it's really important to communicate our desires, our goals, our limitations, even, what I can and can't bring, our sphere of influence, where we need a little bit extra help, where we're kind of going with this, having an agenda, having clear, expectations and outlines. That I feel is very different when you're doing things in a structural space with other people. It's a courtesy to let people know, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's interesting, because intentions are different from goals, because goals are even more rigid and strict, whereas intentions are, we kind of want to go in that direction. And it's okay if it's flexible, but that's my intention. That's kind of like my hope.
Right, 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 right. And it
But as
doesn't,
you said it, it felt.
yeah. Well, and then I'm like, is that's like inner tension. I mean, now I get real like you, like medical background as well. And so I think about the the etymology, and I'm like, it's actually so cool, and it often leads me to like really cool places when I start
Mhm.
thinking about it. But yeah, I'm like inner tension. Hmm.
Which is
Any
not a bad thing though, because if you think about tension, right? And if I think about like the strings on a guitar or any musical instrument, without the tension, you don't have the right frequency. We were talking about frequencies earlier to come full circle. And so when we put that tension on our energy, right? It's almost like it's focusing our energy. So if we're trying to be very intentional, intentional, create
intention.
tension around our energy so that it can be actually directed, instead of just this free flowing, everything's good, airy fairy kind of, just going to be very much in the feminine all the time.
Right.
I'm also learning to invite a lot more of that masculine structure, not from control, but
Hmm.
from safety, right? And I think that piece of the integrity, like, you can't build a house without the rebar in the cement, in the foundation, actually,
Or a roof.
or the or
So
roof.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I meant to mention that earlier because that's how you started out and you were talking about the feminine balancing that. And so that was something that actually that I came to in the inner child work was that I realized that I've been seeking so much of this masculine energy outside of me because
Mm.
I
Ooh,
desired that. I know that I know I deserve it, and I know that it should be part of the flow, but I cannot receive it energetically until I've built that within myself first. I have to have that structure and that container, or else I'm going to be leaking energy.
that's right. Love what you just said because it's so important to take personal responsibility for creating divine union within ourselves. And that was one of my focuses of our 40-day goal, like our 40-day activation.
Mhm.
It was all around divine union. And I meant divine union on the outside. I wanted to call in this partner that I've been like waiting for my whole life. I'm like, I know there's someone that matches me energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually, all the things I know that he's out there. I know with everything in me, I know.
Mhm.
And there were parts of me that I had to step up to create for myself. Absolutely. And in that really deep dive trauma work, like trauma triggers, all the things, mom wounds, dad wounds. I love that we had a section around personal. How do we show up to personally do this to ourselves? We can't just blame fingers to our parents and the world. How do we take personal responsibility for what we are inflicting onto ourselves in terms of limitations, judgments, betrayals? Ooh, how do
Mm.
we cross our own boundaries? How do we not honor ourselves? Oh my goodness. And it's every day. I feel like, every day I have to ask myself, okay, this thing's happening out here. How am I showing up for myself in that way?
Right.
This person's not respecting my boundaries. How am I not respecting my boundaries?
Mhm.
How am I not honoring myself? I love honoring rather than boundaries because boundaries seem so exclusive and it feels so like out there. And it's not about that. It's not about shutting people out. Sometimes it is, but it's not always about shutting people out.
It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah.
No, and people can be around and still not intrusive in our energetic space because we will show up for ourselves,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
so, yeah.
Well, that's one of the main things that I discovered was that I was like, why do I keep calling in emotionally unavailable partners? And so I'm like, because I'm not there for myself
That's
emotionally.
right.
Like I'm I what I mean, at least not for little Hillary.
Mm.
Really fully working on that has been actually really beautiful, and I feel it. I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I would love to have a series where we talk about inner child work and the value and what that looks like and what it means. I think a lot of people don't maybe know or they've had an experience with a therapist once and it didn't go so great. So anytime they hear it, they're kind of just like, yeah, nope, not right. Write it off. I don't want to do it. But it can be so beautiful and we can do it ourselves every day. We can show up for the younger version of ourselves. I'm getting text messages from my son over and over and over again. So I
Take
do
care.
need to address that. I am so glad that we finally got on the podcast and we're having these conversations. I love having this conversation with you because it's a living force on its own. And I love how we're both able to just open up to what comes through and, really show up for all of it. So
Mm.
I would love to continue the conversation, even if you have capacity later today or tomorrow or anytime this week. But I
Yeah.
just feel it's so powerful to normalize this. And, for the audience that's out there where this clicked, I invite you to just pause and sit with that and allow the energy to move through and see what comes up for you and really hold space for yourself. It's such a gift when we hold space for ourselves to actually hear our unconscious mind, to actually listen to our ego, and why does it want to call that person for the fifth time? Or why does it, what is the deeper desire? What is it looking for that we're actually not meeting? within ourselves.
Mhm.
So I'm just so grateful. I feel like we could talk forever. We need to
I
put
know.
like 3
Well,
hours next time and just
yeah, we'll have to definitely follow up on it because, and maybe that it's divine timing with, having to take care of our kiddos because you said audience take a pause, and maybe we need to take a pause too and think
That's
about it.
right.
I love it.
That's right. I love you. Thank you so much, Hilary. I'm so, so happy that we did this. And yeah, can't wait. Can't wait to chat again.
Yes, sounds
Have a
great.
beautiful day. Lots of
You too.
love to your kiddo. Bye, darling.